So what are these changes? The first one is the extended role of the touch judge, and I'll explain that shortly. We've moved on to some experiments in the line-out. The tackle, which is probably the biggest bugbear of all the spectators and players and referees. We're experimenting with collapsing the maul. There's a big one with the scrum offside, players back 5 metres, which again I'll explain. And I suppose the other one which people will find, I think will certainly accept, is that a lot of the offences in rugby now which are penalised by a penalty kick, we've made into free kicks. In fact, there's only 3 areas that you can be penalised now, and that is with a penalty kick. They are offside, foul play, and that includes, and this is where people do get confused, foul play includes repeated and deliberate infringements, and also for entering from the side of the tackle. I'll start with the extended role of the touch judges. It may be, and there's been a suggestion, that we call the touch judges assistant referees, because that's what we're asking them to do. We are asking them to assist the referee. What we intend doing is allowing the assistant referee to go onto the field of play up to 3 or 4 metres, verbalise to players when they're offside. If the players don't listen, the referee will hold his flag out in a horizontal position against the offending side and will advise the referee that he has got a flagging. Once those players get onside before the referee takes punitive action, he will drop his flag and the game will carry on. So it's really preventing offences taking place, and we'll be encouraging the touch judges or assistant referees or whatever we end up calling them to be proactive in their involvement in the match. The corner post I spoke about before, it's not a radical change. At the moment, the only posts that are on the actual touchline are the dead ball line and the goal line. How many tries have you seen scored or not scored because a player's feet have taken out the corner post? We've decided to experiment with removing the corner post, putting it in line with the other posts, which are 2 metres out from the touch line, so that then a player's feet in the air are not part of the equation of whether he scored a try or not. So in other words, if his feet are in the air and his body is in the field of play and he has a touchdown, a try would be awarded. It then takes another decision away from the TMO as to did he get the ball down before the corner post was taken out. So a very simple one, but something which we're experimenting as we go along. I suppose the first major one which will have a bit of an impact is not gaining ground if you take the ball back into your 22. So to give you an example of that, the All Blacks are on attack, Australia put the ball into a scrum 2 metres out from their 22, Gregan passes it back to Larkham 5 metres inside his 22, he kicks the ball out on the full. Basically the line out now will be back where he kicked it from, so he can't gain ground. And the idea of that is to stop teams basically putting the ball back in the 22 as a safety zone. It is no longer safety. Sure, if the opposition put it in there, they've caused that, so and you kick it out, then the line out will be where the ball went out. But just to reiterate, you put the ball back into your 22 and kick it out, the line out will be where you kicked it from. And the key again with that is it keeps the ball in play more, because first fives, fullbacks, etc., when they're getting the ball, which they've received from their own player, they're kicking downfield and kicking for position rather than out. So the ball is in play a lot longer. The line out. We all, I think, will agree that the line out is not a huge area of concern, but there are a couple of laws in there that we looked at that we thought, let's take subjectivity out of. For example, at the moment, you must match numbers in the line out, or you can't have more than the opposition when they're throwing in. You quite often will hear during a game, players calling out, numbers ref. We've taken that out. You now can have as many or as less as you like in the line out, as long as they fit between the 5 metre and the 15 metre line. So again, I'll give you an example. Blue team throwing the ball in, they decide to put 5 in the line out. The opposition, up to them, they can put 11 in if they like, as long as they're between the 5 and the 15. Or the other way, the team throwing in could put 8 in the line out. You might decide, well, they can win this, we'll only put 2 in. So there's no numbers restriction on the line out. The other small changes in the line out, the receiver must be identifiable and 2 metres away from the line out. And that's just really a very small change in the law book to assist the referee so they know where the receiver is. And we all know you actually don't have to have a receiver, but if you do have one, they must be 2 metres from the line out. The other part of the line out, which has always been a bit confusing, the law at present says pre-gripping is not allowed. Now we all know it happens, so again as a group we said, well, if it happens, let's take it out of the law book. So pre-gripping is now permitted in the line out. The other change is for a not straight, and this can be quite a radical move for a windy day, if the ball is thrown not straight in a line out, Under present law, the team that didn't throw it in has the option of taking the throw or a scrum. The option now will be a free kick. So if a player throws the ball in not straight into a line out, the opposition will be awarded a free kick. Probably the most contentious issue in rugby, and the one that confuses all of us, including referees, players, and we're talking top players, coaches, commentators, is the tackle and breakdown. If we can solve this area of the game, we think we've gone a long way to making rugby back to where it was. It's the great game that we all know it is. The changes we've made here is to take a lot of subjectivity out of the referee's decision making. And again, I go back to what I said at the start, the confusion of, at the moment we get, we've got a ruck, blue hands off, and yet blue's saying, well, I was here, I had my hands on it, why do I have to take them off? The things the referee's going to have to look for now is simply this. There's going to be an offside line at the tackle. At present, there's no offside line until a ruck forms. So the moment a tackle occurs, all players will have to enter from their side of that tackle. The referees are being asked to rigidly enforce that. If they don't, if a player doesn't come from his side of the tackle and comes in the side, it is a penalty offence. The idea of that, of course, is to make it a contest. So the good number sevens or the good players that are there in support will have every opportunity to win the ball and cause a turnover, which again goes back to the whole ethos of the game, is to have a contest. When I talk about offside lines at the tackle, the offside line at the tackle runs parallel to the goal lines and it goes through the hindmost foot of the last person at the tackle, just like we have at the moment at a ruck or a maul. So the back foot of the person at the tackle becomes the entry line for any player arriving. The only player that can play the ball from the opposition side is the tackler, and he can do that when he's immediately on his feet, as current law allows. Some of the laws of the tackle haven't changed. For example, a tackle player must release the ball immediately. Any player from the opposition who arrives on their feet at that tackle area has all rights to the ball. So a player is tackled, he will not be allowed the chance to place it, pass it, etc. Every right goes to that player on his feet. We're going back to we want the game played by players on their feet. The big change has come, of course, is that any player who enters from the correct side, who's on their feet, may play the ball, and they can play it with their hands. We've still got rucking in the game, but it's a bit of a myth that we can stand all over bodies and call that rucking. That has never been rucking. So you can still ruck on the ball, but the difference now is you're on your feet, you get to the ball, you can play it. The referee does not have to call out blue 7 leave it or gold 7 leave it. Any player, so 2 number 7s, and I keep using number 7s because it's their art, they arrive at the breakdown on their feet, they both get their hands on the ball, best man will win. So it could become a wrestle match, but they're on their feet. By having offside lines though, and what the experiments have shown us so far is the ball is being made available a lot quicker at the tackle, so we're stopping the pile-ups. And it's been very encouraging. There is a lot quicker ball. Players get tackled, they place the ball away from their body, knowing the opposition can't have it, because there's an offside line. So we're quite excited with what's going on in the meantime. And as I say, the subjectivity has been taken out. I mentioned earlier at the start of the program that all sanctions now are free kicks. So people then say to me, well, surely then they'll just kill the ball and just give away a free kick. If they deliberately, remember I said foul play, deliberate and repeated infringements, if a player on the ground deliberately stops the ball coming back, he is liable to penalty and also liable to yellow cards. If he repeats it, of course, he's liable to red cards. So the only time the ball will be slowed down, and it's not deliberate, when a player's off their feet, would be, for example, a player going in to play the ball and gets knocked over the ball. I think the referees, it's not so subjective. The referees will clearly know when someone's doing something deliberate. If it's deliberate, it's a penalty. If the ball doesn't come out and it's not deliberate, it's a free kick to the team that didn't take the ball into the tackle. So just to reiterate, there are only 3 offences at the tackle that are penalties. If you don't enter through the gate, and I talked about the gate before, if you are offside at the tackle, and if you deliberately stop the ball being played. Everything else is a free kick. So again, we will see matches decided by the players, not the referees.